Stardate 49. Sending my contempt this morning out to the Leth Police, or at Leth Police of Alberta, for their poor decision on rifles drawn for a plastic toy cosplayer. They didn't comply right away? Are you blind? Watch the video and see how fastly she complied. This cannot be covered up. So, good for William Shatner. And it's really funny because, there's always that war between Star Wars and Star Trek. Let's put things aside and support this girl that's out there. So, it's unfortunate that this girl has gotten caught in a little bit of a hard place because of her job. But this restaurant opener apparently spent $200,000 getting their restaurant open in January. Then when the coronavirus hit, he was basically clearing $50 a day when his operating costs are $350 a day. So it's really tough, right? I mean, I feel really bad for all the restaurant owners out there. I think, hey, you guys went over and above to try to drum up some business, and then for the police to take that and crap all over it, it's pretty depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yep, definitely. And as a big Star Wars fan, that also pisses me off. So I'm trying not to be too biased on it.
I would see if I was the cops, I would have had more fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, she's already dressed up full blown stormtrooper. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How serious of it? Like, and maybe it's because of what happened. We had a mass shooting a few weeks ago in Canada, which doesn't happen very often up here.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's on high alert because of that, and that's probably why they took it so seriously, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
but
it could be a little sensitive, but who doesn't recognize a stormtrooper? I mean, with all these different, cosplayers and like the 501st Legions out there that literally spend thousands and thousands of dollars of reproducing this and going to all the different events and cosplays and fan expos and Comic-Cons out there. Like, everybody knows a stormtrooper and what that outfit is. I don't feel like just because you're walking down the street in this outfit carrying a plastic gun and someone should drop you or at least pull a gun on you saying you have to drop to the ground.
When she didn't comply, I would have been like, hey, these are not the handcuffs you were looking for.
I would have just been, it's okay, this rifle can't hit anything anyways. Oh, well. Funny. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
So, Eric, thank you very much for joining us on the show. We were very pleased to have you on here, and let's kind of turn things over to you now.
Okay, sure, man.
Excellent.
Well, thanks for having me on, Mr.
Oh, we're super excited. Thank you very much. I really want to kind of start things off and just jump in and ask you about MacGyver. Now, were you a fan of the original series of MacGyver?
Yeah, when I was growing up, it was one of my shows I watched when I was a young lad. I used to love MacGyver and a few others, you know. But yeah, I loved the original. So
were you kind of excited when that role had come up? I mean, any role at this point. I mean, be it MacGyver himself or just playing a character on the show. I mean, that's got to be kind of like one of those childhood. I mean, when you get into the actors and you kind of see a reboot of a show that you used to like, it must be kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, have y'all watched the new one?
I saw the first 2 episodes, and then life got crazy for me, and I didn't get into the rest of them.
I really want to watch it. I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my hit list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's different. It's similar but different. They've kind of made it more geared toward the younger crowd today.
Okay.
But it's actually a good show, man. So yeah, I was excited to be on it. It's not the same as the MacGyver growing up, but I mean,
nothing will be the same without Richard Dean Anderson, right? I mean, he did so many different shows at the time, and he was like one of those classic actors that I don't think he's quite irreplaceable. Now, I do think, I don't know if it was maybe 6 or 7 years ago, someone had seen taken a picture of Richard Dean Anderson standing by his car on the side of the road, and it's like, oh, he can break out of a prison using a ballpoint pen and a paper clip, but he can't fix his own car.
He didn't have any duct tape, man.
Right?
Fresh out.
Yeah, and the picture, like, he looks really perplexed at what's going on with his car. It was really funny. So
that is hilarious, man. Goodness, that is funny. But yeah, man, I used to love that show when I was a kid, and the Fall Guy. That was kind of
yes.
Back in the day.
That's generally my question for stuntmen. Did they ever watch the Fall Guy? And if so, was that like one of those influences of why you wanted to be who you were?
Yes, like Top Gun. Wow, did that make you join the Navy to want to be a fighter pilot?
Right.
Kind of the same thing. I can imagine a stuntman that did not like the Fall Guy. That was a awesome show.
Yeah. So some of the classics out there. So of our listeners who are not of that generation, I'm sure you could YouTube every one of these things. If you haven't seen them, you have to see them just for. If not reference value, but sheer entertainment. Really good for its time. Now, having said that, I went back and I watched a couple episodes of Knight Rider. Man, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I thought it was great.
Oh, man.
And then I went back and I saw a couple episodes, and all I could think of is that maybe my parents were drugging me as a kid. So
I know that's the thing about it. The younger generation, if they go back and look this stuff up, man, they're going to have to remember. Technology's come a long ways.
Yeah. And acting has too.
So, yes, very different. And what about, do you guys remember Battlestar Galactica?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how old you guys are.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I downloaded some of that on Amazon Prime one time. I was bored, and wow. I mean, it is not how I remember it.
No.
No. At the time, like, holy moly, it was so good.
Yeah, that's what's nice about the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, because when you watch that, it's more of like what you remember from the early 80s as a kid. So it was.
Oh man, the same with the Fall Guy. I downloaded some of that on Netflix or something, one of those streaming networks, man, and I was like, man, this is not the same. I mean, even the introduction is the quality is very blurry. It's it's on film. You know what I mean? So it's just just not the same effect, man. But that was normal back then.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the other thing is the televisions were so low definition, you never saw all that, the scratches and film, right? It's only when you put it on a high-def TV.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why everything's being remastered to cut all that crap out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my God, what happened to Lee Majors? He looked fantastic.
So funny story of how I got into MacGyver, the not the new one but the old one. So I had never watched an episode, and my parents did, and then I watched the movie MacGruber with Will Forte.
Yep.
And I had to go back and watch the whole series because it was, man. Do you remember that movie, MacGruber? Yep. Like, dude, that scene where he has to create a distraction, and he puts a piece of celery in his ass and starts walking like a duck. Dude, I die every time I see that scene. So I had to go back and watch the whole series. So that's what, fun segue for me on that.
Man,
Matt, it's amazing. It's amazing that a piece of celery in a man's ass is enough to make you want to watch a television series from the 80s.
Yep.
They wouldn't get away with that back in the 80s, right? You must have been severely disappointed.
You don't even want to know how I got into Westworld.
Oh my God. That's crazy. So, Eric, I noticed that you actually, or I should say, before the coronavirus hit, you were in the midst of filming several new pieces. Is any of that still going, or is it all on hold until things kind of clear up? Or like you've got the Vixens and Villains and the Rejects Club, the Bounty Hunter.
All those things. Bounty Hunter is. All those are kind of on hold. I mean, everything's kind of just stopped, man. It's most productions are not really doing a lot right now, and they keep saying things are going to kick back up soon. But you just who knows, man? Nobody saw this one coming, and it's a crazy, crazy thing. I can't believe we're even doing this. I never thought I'd see something like this. Not here in America. It's just weird, to notice, people's not wearing masks and stuff, and everybody's this virus is going around, and it's pretty bad, But soon it should get back to normal or close to some kind of normal, and I think we'll be back to shooting, regular. We're going to have to. I mean, it's we got to move on.
Yeah. I often kind of wondered with some of I know there's like a lot of crews and everybody who kind of works in behind the scenes of making these shows, but generally when you look at a cast of some of these things, you're only looking at like 3 and 4 people on the set at a time or something. And I was just like, is there no way that they couldn't screen everybody with a test and then just be like, okay, we're going to lock down for a week in this studio and just crank through a whole bunch of recording and then go. But
I mean, that might work. It might come to
Tony
that,
for
man.
president, 2020.
I'm
already doing a better job.
It's I don't know it, but I guess they could do that. I mean, it would definitely help eliminate cross, contamination or somebody else catching something on set or something like that. But
yeah.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. But
they just have to hire a new person. They just bring in the sanitation worker then, right? Like the person who just comes in and Lysols everybody every 20 seconds.
Sprays everybody with some Lysol, wipes them down.
They'd have to give him like an artsy name though.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like if it's Hollywood or something, you got to have like an artsy name for the germ guy.
Yeah. We're gonna have to work on that. Maybe we'll get our listeners to like chime in with a new crew name for that.
Yeah, he's the disinfected choreographer, right?
There you go.
Hey, that's already sounding better. Yeah, that's amazing. So, is there anything that you can tell us about some of these new projects that you were working on? Like, how far did you get into any of these?
Well, the Bounty Hunter's been going on for a while. It's we've been filming that one for a minute because it's a period piece film based in the Civil War era.
Okay.
So it's everything's perfect. It has to be period correct, and it's difficult to get locations and scheduling with all the crew, stuff like that. And when you don't have a huge budget, it makes it tough, to get everybody on board. And we were just about to wrap it up, and then the virus hit, and.
Well, you think that'd be perfect for a time period, right? That's like, just call it a plague, and everybody's got to wear masks.
Yeah, it's a little, 19. The Spanish flu. It was a little later, but yeah, sure, man. But the one of the main actresses, she kind of just they had an issue, and they had to recast her. So there's a lot of scenes they got to go back and now shoot with the new actress, and so that's just it's ongoing. And then Vixens and Villains, it's been a slow go too. They're shooting that over in Texas.
Okay.
And
what's that about?
It's just it's a typical drug lord, dirty cop type action-packed movie. One of those kind of deals where there's some crooked investigators that are involved with this local high-end drug paraphernalia ring. And, you got beautiful girls and the fast cars and the big briefcases of money and dope, that kind of stuff.
Okay, excellent. Now, speaking of police officers and everything, it looks like you play a detective in that, but it's not. It looks like you play a detective a lot, actually. Someone just said, like, this guy has got the detective look.
Unfortunately, I get cast as a detective a lot, and I don't mind. It's simple. Very, very usually it's very, very easy character to turn to. The detective guy, just be very, very even keel, very serious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I play those guys a lot. I play a lot of times a killer of some sort, but more of a, like a. I don't know what you'd call it.
The deranged
a clean
psychopath.
cut guy, but he happens to be a little crazy.
Yeah.
That kind of guy, whatever you call it. So that's how casting sees me a lot of times. I mean, every actor is different. casting sees every actor different based on how they look.
It's funny that they see you as either the really good guy or the really bad guy.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so
contrast.
either one of the two.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I look at a lot of your shots, and I think, well, this guy, like, I could say easily military movie or special forces or something, and then to see a lot of the parts that you've done is quite a mix of good and bad. So it's kind of like all in that.
Yeah.